I'm going to say something that may make some parents uncomfortable. This is that the more we protect an anxious child, the more anxious that child actually becomes. This is not because we're bad parents, not because we shouldn't comfort our kids, but because every time we remove something simply because our child is anxious about it, we teach their brain, you're right, you can't handle this. And over time, what started as loving support turns into a pattern of avoidance that actually makes the anxiety so much stronger. If you're a parent, teacher, counselor, or anyone who works with kids, this is definitely something we need to talk about. If you're new here, my name is Amanda Hill. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and owner of Connections of Hope, which is a mental health private practice with multiple locations in Indiana. I've worked in the mental health field for more than 20 years, helping kids, teenagers, adults, and families navigate things like anxiety, relationships, family dynamics, and emotional health. And I can tell you, one of the hardest things for caring adults to do is watch a child struggle. Our instinct is to fix it, remove it, call the teacher, excuse the assignment, let them stay home, speak for them, or even cancel the activity, all in an effort to make the uncomfortable feeling disappear. But here's the problem. If a child learns that anxiety is something they need to escape, their world slowly becomes smaller and smaller. For example, let's say your child is terrified about giving a presentation at school. They might be crying the night before, their stomach hurts, they're begging you to email the teacher. So you do. And not only that, you ask if your child can write a paper instead. Immediately, you will notice your child's anxiety dropping. And of course, as a parent, you actually begin to feel relieved too. Because your child isn't suffering anymore, right? It feels like the problem has been solved. But you need to know this. Your child's brain may have just learned something very important. Presentations are dangerous. I'm not capable of handling them. Escaping is what made me feel safe. So what happens the next time they have to speak in front of people? The anxiety becomes even stronger. This is how avoidance reinforces anxiety. Your child feels anxious, so they avoid anything that challenges them. Each time their anxiety temporarily decreases, and the brain says, that was great. Avoidance worked. Let's do it again. Guys, this happens at home and at school all the time. And it doesn't always look dramatic. Your child may express feeling nervous about ordering at a restaurant, so you order for them. Your teenager is afraid to email a teacher, so dad writes the email. A student feels uncomfortable working with unfamiliar classmates, so they're always allowed to work with their best friend. Your child is afraid to sleep alone, so a parent always stays beside them every single night. Your teenager is anxious about driving, so the family decides to stop encouraging practice. A student is overwhelmed by school, so every difficult expectation is removed. Here's the thing. Each of these individual decisions can actually feel compassionate and accommodating. But we have to ask whether we're accommodating a genuine need or accommodating anxiety's demand for avoidance. Those are not always the same thing. Why? Because support is not the same as rescue. And this is where I think parents and schools sometimes get stuck. We start believing that if a child is uncomfortable, something has gone wrong. But discomfort is not automatically harmful. I want to challenge you to think about your own past experiences. You know that anxiety is uncomfortable. We all do. Frustration is uncomfortable. Embarrassment is uncomfortable. Trying something I'm not confident about is uncomfortable. But just like you likely learned to do, children need opportunities to discover that they can feel uncomfortable and still do hard things. That is how confidence develops. Confidence doesn't usually come before doing the scary thing. It comes after the scary thing and realizing, wow, I did that. I'm so proud of myself. So, what can we do instead? Imagine your child says, I can't give this presentation. Please tell my teacher I don't have to. Instead of immediately removing the presentation, try saying something like, I believe you that this feels really scary. And I also believe you're capable of doing hard things. Let's figure out how to make this manageable for you. Maybe that means they practice at home first, then in front of one person, then a small group. Maybe the teacher even allows them to present privately before eventually working towards presenting in the class. All of those options are vastly different from simply saying, you know what, you're anxious, so you never have to do it. The goal isn't to try to brutally throw our kids into the deep end, but we have to gradually help them learn how to swim. If you're a teacher, I want you to know that this matters in the classroom too. Supporting an anxious student does not always mean removing every source of anxiety. Sometimes the goal should be to create a bridge toward participation rather than a permanent exit from it. Try asking, how can we make this achievable? Instead of automatically asking, how can we make sure the student never has to do anything to experience discomfort? Because the long-term goal isn't simply to make a child feel calm today. It's to help them develop the skills they need to function tomorrow. And for all of you who are parents, I understand why this is so difficult. I have 2 kiddos of my own, and watching them panic or struggle in any aspect of their lives always activates something very powerful in me. Of course, I always wanted to make it stop, but I had to realize that parenting a child, anxious or not, meant tolerating my own discomfort while my child worked through their fears. Your job isn't always to make the path easier. Sometimes it's just to stand beside them while they discover that they can walk that difficult path by themselves. So instead of, I'll take care of it, try, let's figure out what part you can handle. Instead of, you don't have to do it, try, what would help you take the first step? Instead of, I'll talk to them for you, try, let's practice what you want to say, and then you can try. All of these examples communicate something very different, which is, I see that you're scared, and you know what? I still believe you're capable. And listen, I want to be very clear about something. This does not mean children should never receive accommodations. Some children do have legitimate educational, developmental, psychological, or medical needs that require accommodations and professional support. And it certainly doesn't mean forcing a child through overwhelming situations without regard for their individual needs. So let me be clear again, the question I'm raising isn't, should we accommodate kids? It's, is this accommodation helping this child build functioning and independence? Or is it unintentionally helping anxiety build a smaller world around them? Those are very different conversations. In closing, I do want to stress that sometimes the most loving thing we can say to an anxious child isn't, don't worry, I'll get you out of this. Sometimes it's, I know you're worried, and I am going to help you discover that you can actually handle this. Because our goal shouldn't be to raise children who never experience anxiety. That's literally impossible. Our goal is to raise children who eventually learn, I can still be anxious and move forward. And that might be one of the most important lessons you ever are able to teach your child. If you're a parent, teacher, school professional, you're navigating childhood or teenage anxiety, I would love for you to subscribe to Mental Health with Amanda here on YouTube or follow my Apple or Spotify podcasts. I talk about mental health issues affecting kids, families, relationships, and schools, and what we can actually do about them. And please, I would love to hear in the comments, do you think we're sometimes protecting kids so much from discomfort that we're accidentally making anxiety worse? As always, thank you to everybody who listens, and please feel free to share with others you might believe would benefit from hearing this message. In the meantime, keep doing your best, because in the long run, that's really all we can do.